I'm starting to think that I'm not really sure whether or not I should be elated over the parity or just disappointed in the fact of play. Severe upsets didn't happen. Some upsets I thought would happen did not happen at all. And I'm a little mixed bag about this weekend, but overall happy with what the product we were giving out. Let's get into it.
I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call and quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard.
Here comes Danny Tusizawa, back to Baker, Baker with the fin. Kurt Baker in for DC, and this may well do it old glory with the try. The New Zealand Sevens legend, Kurt Baker with the cherry on top.
Can you believe it?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Line Rugby Podcast, a show brought to you by the Believe Sports Network. I'm your host, Mike Nagaishi, and welcome back. Again, as I said in the cold open, a lot of upsets that could have happened did not happen. I'm very happy about the parity, but, overall, I would say that the quality of play this weekend was exceptional, especially on offense. Good show. Defense will shout out a couple people in the beginning, but overall, good product this weekend. Can't wait for this coming weekend on Thursday. Be there, be square. Let's get into the notes. All right, so we have, as of right now, I think I'll break down the biggest upset that I really thought wouldn't happen was Canes versus Tons this weekend. Canes, not really the greatest team this year, much better roster than what the Tons have in every aspect of the word. So to me, this would have been considered an upset. Instead, the reverse happened, and the actual upset did happen where the Canes beat the Tons by an exceptional clip. I was not expecting this personally, just going off of just the body bag worth of injuries. I obviously expected that this game was going to be a hard-fought, physical slugfest, given the fact that the Hurricanes defense was playing exceptional throughout the last couple weeks. Tag that into the fact that the Waratahs defense has been exceptional as well, and very physical. So there was supposed to be a couple body bags in this game, but not in the way that I expected. I wasn't expecting heavy injuries to happen. Disregarding the massive HIAs done to Darby Lancaster and friends, I really want to highlight the fact that Max Jorgensen's injury was very avoidable, did not need to happen. And among other things, like Joey Walton's yellow card really put them in the back foot early. Like they had to think 3 or 4 injuries going down in the first 20 or 30 minutes, which is insane. I've never seen that kind of happen in a rugby match before. So to watch this in real time was a little disappointing because especially with the Jorgensen injury was very, very avoidable. Looking at that tackle by Yose, I thought it was dirty or at least questionable, but all the tackles have been this entire game. Everybody was going high, being very physical, front forward ball, and definitely throwing a lot of wood up on that front gain line. So it's something that I thought could have been avoided, but honestly, with the amount of bang plays that were going on in this game, you could argue both ways. In terms of what Suali'i got at 13 because of this injury. I thought they were going to move him to fullback, and instead they brought in a replacement who was going to play in that, so he got to stay in 13 all game. But the way he played, which was mostly on the wing, was really nice. All of his go-to power, his IQ, and his patience. The 3 biggest things you see on his attack is his ability to read the vision on where the holes are going to happen before they happen. There comes that patience. IQ comes after, his ability to see the field and really, really dial up who's going to pass, try to take it into contact, etc. And then obviously his power, his contact balance to go through players is amazing. I wouldn't say it was highlight worthy of the game, given the fact that, it was a very hard fought loss, but, it's vital for the Toss doing anything on either end of the ball for him to keep playing the way he did. Obviously, everyone's going to go to the, 2 try-saving tackles that, arguably, if you look at the stat sheet, would not have saved them that much points. But in the moment, it was vital for the Taz to really put those tries away in plus territory against their boys. Backs against the wall. He put a massive flying attack against Kini Naholo, who, if most people know, if you watch this pod or just watch Super Rugby in general, Kini Naholo is a menace. I don't think there's anybody that can tackle him one-on-one, let alone 2v2. And we saw that. I honestly thought that was going to be a try, but I'm very impressed that it wasn't. I'm also loving what Rob Leota and the boys had done with Angus Bell leading the defense, the breakdown contention, and obviously D coverage. It was physical, but also very much filled with IQ and coverage. Their communication was good, despite the fact that they didn't, make those one-on-one tackles or stop a lot of line breaks. They did a good job initially in the first 10 minutes of really putting on a show versus the Canes. And I thought it would have stayed the entire game had those injuries not broken their tempo and their energy. Another note I would say is huge is I think the way the Canes are playing, especially through Balin Sullivan and Asafa Almoa as support players rather than the bell cows on attack is nice. The Taz didn't know where the ball to go. Obviously, that led to a lot of miscommunications on defense, a lot of passive play rather than a lot of forward play coming from tight to out wide. So that's going to help you out a bunch on the offense. And also, the way Bailey Selva's playing on defense, you could argue, was a lot better than Suoli's. And man, was I impressed. It's not just the physical hits, it's the fact that he was communicating with his boys, really dialing up who's going to hit who, marking up his man and staying with them. I hate to say it, but even as that's a fundamental of the sport, I really think that it's been kind of going dipping, at least in the competitions that I've been seeing personally myself. And, I have to highlight it where it shows now because the bar is much lower than what it should be. Also, at the time I had put down in my notes that the kid Heaven is a liability. I don't think it's a liability. I think with any young kid coming into the league, whether it's the farm league, the pro league, or your first, in this baseball and t-ball league, or, small school boys, peewees, you have obviously your mess ups, and, you need to build that confidence. It's something that I preach with Carter Gordon, that they did not do well. Hopefully they do a better job with him. When he started throwing the line ball really well towards the end, he was helping them in a great way. But obviously the lineouts throughout for really early when those injuries started to like the middle, sort of about the 60th minute, was not good. And among other things like, high ball failure, the lack of the reset, they're just really getting pressed, and obviously that's not going to help, especially when you have an opposing territory percent margin and possession rate of 71%, which is insane. Obviously you also had the 17 turnovers and 8 penalties for most of the first half on both sides, and that was insane. And just in terms of, it wasn't even like anything like physical hits. Well, there was some, but like there was a lot of, basic stuff, offsides, not being with the ball. You're not going to win any game like that. Overall, I'm just really disappointed with how the Taz played. Hopefully they can bounce back, but, go with Suoli'i being how he is, I think they will. It does make me nervous, though, come playoff time. If they're going to play like this, they would need Jorgo back healthy. I really think he either tore up his ankle through tendonitis or something like that, and it's not going to be a very short recovery. So I think they should give him all the time he needs, and hopefully they do that. As for the Brumbies, I really thought they loved living with the lower and slower ball from the Brumbies versus the power and speed of the game plan from the Landers. It was a nice breath of fresh air, not having the backs carry the show again, again, going back to their roots, doing what they do best. For every inroad the Landers got penalties, the more their performance really kind of faltered on that regard. I think that goes for any team, but especially in here. And then obviously David Feluai is a breath of fresh air for the Brumbies. They're hard line running centers. They're not as distribution friendly as Feluai is, and obviously his distribution between taking the ball to the line, passing it through contact, off contact, really helps set up a lot of tries for this Canberra side. And then obviously going off of that, Andy Muirhead, while he isn't as producing as Tom Wright did with his tries back in the day, he's doing a lot more this year in terms of distribution, playing on defense, turnovers, and that like. So, it's good to see him propelling the Brumbies this year. A lot of, again, not really highlight-worthy plays, but, pushing them forward with the little things, which is what really matters. And then, obviously, the Highlanders, you can't really complain much with a 6 wins on turnovers to 11 to 17 lost in the turnover margin, losing the set piece margin by over 86%, which is heinous. You got 12 penalties on the whole game, and then 55% time of possession in the last 10 minutes. You have no excuse to at least put some points on the board to really put the Brumbies on the back foot. And they didn't do enough pressure, I think, the whole game to really get themselves in that position. And in the last 10 minutes, they really squandered that, in my personal opinion. As for the Reds, I want to highlight the fact that the Force pack, despite the L, I thought won all set piece, and especially in the stat sheet, it showed it up. And despite, kind of oofing it on a couple throws that I thought they should have got, I really thought it was nice to see that they won 45% of the opposing throws. Good stat for you guys. Darcy Swain and those boys are really putting in some work, and it's good to see from those boys. Also, despite retaining the ball 54% of the game, the Forces didn't break the line with as much electricity, and it was definitely apparent the whole game. I thought the Reds defense did a good job of erasing a lot of those electrical plays that they used to have throughout the rest of the season, and it slowly started to fall off outside of the forwards, and we definitely see that now. Obviously, winning 3 of your 11 turnovers and losing 15 is not winning anyone any game, especially from the Force. And obviously, I'm a little concerned with how little Ben Donaldson has been involved in the attack. When you brought in Leon McDonald after that explosive first 2 weeks, I really thought that was going to mean something in terms of innovation, but I haven't really been seeing it as much as I thought I would, and I'm a little concerned. Let's not forget, last but not least, the Staters. I really thought that the Staters started to show everyone that the slow game, starting slow every game after about the first 15 minutes, you just started to put it on, has made them predictable, especially after the cynical Cullen Gray's card and without Sevu Reese and, Will Jordan not being as involved as he should, they got them really put in a hole quite badly. Obviously, Moana's line speed and their tackling forced massive, massive errors, especially in the handling department. The Crusaders have great power and IQ, but I really thought that they kind of oofed, on a couple things that I thought really should have been avoidable. For example, with, offloads, just, you had one into contact that was lucky. Outside of that, a lot of not releasing, holding onto the ball, bad breakdown calls, etc. It just wasn't as good. And as for the new guy at 10, Patrick Pellegrini, his IQ is insane. I really didn't know about this guy coming into this match. I should after, and he should be the 10 from now to the end of the season. And especially, why was he not the 10 from the beginning? His decision at the line and against the Satyrs, playing with multiple options of the ball, throwing the ball at the right time to the right person, having the bail, throwing into quick contact, getting good lines and managing that offense. That was insane from you. And, on top of that, kicks, obviously, I think needs to be highlighted, especially versus Will Jordan, who is one of the best, high ball guys in the Southern Hemisphere. You destroyed him with absolute ease and erased him off the face of the planet with this. You aren't getting used to this at all. The Sabres did not make any adjustments. And I thought he should be, highlighted throughout the rest of the season more than now. And obviously, shout out to Moana for their breakdown dominance. When you win 11 turnovers with an 87% tackling rate and good discipline, this is what I've been saying for the last 3 years and longer, even before they, created this podcast for me. This team, all they needed was a little discipline, good kicking and game management, winning at the breakdown, and decent IQ, and they could win a lot of games. They could be the next Fijian Drua from last year. They just have to turn it on at the right time. And I think now, more than ever, is kind of the coming out party for Moana Pacifica. And obviously, I can't really be mad about Moana not winning the set piece against the pack. Crusaders bring a good pack day in and day out through this week. But I should be proud of the time of possession margin. Again, discipline, breakdown percentage, all that is great. Proud of you guys. All right, and then let's break down the team of the week. I got Angus Bell in here, obvious. Asafo Aumua played with great power, good line-out throw, running good support ball, helped communicate with that defense. Good job. Taniela Tupou, one could argue I shouldn't put him out there. But you know what? For the big guy to do what he did, to play almost the whole 80 minutes, to play good in scrums, was great in lineouts, and was, decent with the ball in hand. Again, can't really complain again. I have Isaiah Wakaliawiri as my number 4 spot. Great blocking kicks, good defense, good lineout dominance, everything from a lock and then some. He was in there. I also had Darcy Swain in there just for doing work against that Reds pack, who arguably should have been winning more lineouts. You deserve to be in there, future, career Wallaby, if you keep up this effort. Just eliminate a lot of the dirty plays and you should be fine. For my loose forward trio, with Duplessis Karifi, obvious reasons, Charlie Gamble. A lot of people think I should have put him on there. I understand why. But when you look at what he did in desperation time, good defensive tackling, good line-out throws and jumping for the ball, good overall good defense across the field. And, he wasn't as involved with the ball, but when he was, he helped open it up for the wing, and I can't really complain there. As for my number 8, despite being a little dirty, I would say, I would put Braden Iose in there just for ball in hand. Again, I haven't seen this kind of Braden Iose early. I'm kind of mad that I, when I had him in fantasy, didn't really go off like this, but now happy for him. I hope he keeps up this effort. For 9 and 10, I went for Cam Roygard for obvious reasons, and Patrick Pellegrini, again, noted above. 11, 14, and 15, I went with Keenan Naholo, Caleb Tangitao, who I thought did great despite the losing effort again, and Ruben Love at 15. All you need to do is turn on those Hurricanes highlights, and you'll see him involved in every single play. If you have flow and can watch the whole game with time, watch the whole game with time. You'll have a good time with that. Great game. 12 and 13, I had Balin Sullivan and Joseph Suali'i for above reasons. For 16, Tom Robertson, for the fact of let the big man go. Like I said, he was a big part of that set piece. And on top of that, in offense, wow, was he a freakish man, especially on that highlight. And then you gotta say more. I put Billy Pollard at my number 2, who arguably should have had the number 2 spot in this team of the week. But I thought Asafo Aumua coming back into form deserved that. Billy Pollard has nothing been more than clinical at what he does. And I think, again, another future career Wallaby, a young cat getting brought up by the likes of Stephen Larkham, who's done nothing but add to the game for Australia. Proud of him. He deserves this spot as well. For 19, I went with Fabian Holland, who one could argue I shouldn't have had him in here because of his form, but when he did pop off, he did very well, and I liked watching him when he was with the Highlanders in this game. Again, if you can watch the full game, watch the full game. You'll see things that I personally liked. Maybe you'll find some things that you liked as well. He's really clinical, and when you have a guy who's supposed to be the future all-black replacement for Brody Retallick, who plays like him, honestly. And you see him on that field, nothing short of excellence from there. I put Carlos Lozano as my number 8 for last forward replacement. Thought he did a great job at what he did, whether it's offensive, defensive, especially with those tackles. And definitely, he wasn't as involved in terms of highlight breaking plays. When he was, though, he brought in good power, good IQ to toss the ball to Tom Robertson. Good play by him. For 21 through 23, I have Andy Muirhead, again, above. Danny Tuala for the Moana Pacifica. Did a good job of bringing power and IQ. Another would be in the top 12, but, Balin Sullivan and Joseph Suoli'i did such a good job on D. I had to put him up there. And then I have Na'ataunai Punivai for the Hurricanes in there. Did a good job of helping erase a lot of the deficiencies on offense and defense for the Canes and really help push them forward in terms of helping them on the edge regarding the Waratahs kicking game, who was attempting but not really getting where it should be with Teddy Wilson to really put them on the back foot. Punivai did a good job of erasing a lot of those things, whether it was high ball kicking, helping to chip over the back when they had those injuries in that card, really helped, put them continually on the questionable areas on the field and definitely erased their time of possession margin by a good win. Proud of these guys. This is the team of the week this week, and that'll be all from me, guys. A little short episode, but obviously without Six Nations, we're not going to get a lot of, content. It is what it is. But I'll see you guys next week. Peace.